I'm an educator, and these are the 3 things I've learned navigating work across countries. I began to notice that movement between countries is not only about opportunity, it is also about structure, recognition, and patience. And only later did I understand how much of that structure existed long before any decision to move. There's a way working abroad is often described that begins at departure, at the moment of a contract, a visa, a flight. But that version rarely shows what sits underneath it. The years of teaching that accumulates quietly, the systems that define what readiness means, and the long, often invisible process of becoming eligible to move at all. Before any international move, I thought I'd be MYP and DP in the Philippines for 4 years, across 2 schools, working with 4 full batches of grades 8 to 12 students. 4 complete cycles of teaching and learning. Beginnings, transitions, and endings repeated across years. I have come to see those years less as preparation for something else, and more as the work itself, full in its own time, with its own weight. The students, they're now adults. My first cohort are now proper adults. They're probably 27, 28 right now. Over the past 10 years, I have taught across 3 countries, the Philippines, Bangladesh, and India. And I'm currently in my 2nd international school in India. But this detail feels less important than the patterns I've come to notice along the way. What follows are 3 of those patterns. Not as instruction, but as reflection. Number 1, readiness is never only personal. There are many ways to feel ready for work, but readiness alone does not move you across systems. For Filipino teachers like me, overseas work is shaped by formal requirements. A valid contract with specific stipulations and conditions required by the Republic of the Philippines. The processing of documents, medical clearance, pre-employment seminars, through the Department of Migrant Workers. The requirement to have an overseas employment certificate before I can even fly out of the country. These are not background steps. They are part of the structure that makes movement possible. Over time, I've learned to see readiness as layered. There is what is lived and experienced, and there is what must be made legible to systems outside the classroom. Number 2, recognition is always mediated by systems. Experience does not automatically translate across borders. It has to be interpreted through systems that already have their own definitions of need. Years of teachings, certifications, Category 1, Category 2, IBDP trainings, and professional history become part of the picture, but never the whole of it. They're filtered through visa rules, institutional requirements, and labor demand at a specific time. I've learned that recognition is not simply about what has been done. It is about whether that work can be received within a given structure. Number 3, professional skill is cumulative and only becomes visible over time. Teaching experience builds slowly, often quietly, and only later becomes something that can be shown. Lesson planning, assessment design, training, certifications, and institutional records gradually form a professional history, one that must be documented and made legible across contexts. Nothing about this process feels fast. It is shaped by repetition, by continuity, by years of showing up in classrooms across cohorts and cycles. And so what I notice now is less about movement itself and more about what makes movement possible. Teaching across systems and countries is not only about where one is placed. It is about what has already been built over time and how that work is later read, recognized, and allowed to move.